The new Glock Gen 5 MOS, let's check it out. Glock's introduced 3 new pistols to their line. We just did a review on the new G45, which is a 19 slide on a Model 17 frame, very much like the G19X. I'll have a link right up here for you to click if you want to see the review. But today we're going to take a look at their new Gen 5 MOS, Model 19 and Model 17. And these pistols have RMR cuts with adapter plates to fit any of your microdot red dots. Plus, there are some other upgrades over even the Gen 5. So one of the things that was funny on Instagram, a lot of guys were saying, well, it's just a standard Glock Gen 5. Well, it's not. There are some definite changes that we really want to take a look at. First thing I want to do is make sure that the guns are unloaded. And they are. Now, one of the cool things about the MOS system is that, yes, you can put a really cool red dot on here without taking it to a gunsmith and having him mill out the slide and do all the different cuts that are just a permanent fixture on your handgun. But one of the great things about the MOS is that you do have the option just to leave it as it is. This is a Model 17, and you can leave the plate on it, you can shoot it, you can do whatever. And then if you just decide to add an RMR or any kind of micro red dot, you have that capability. So it's really a cool system. Now, it is a little more expensive than your standard Glock, but it's just one of those things that it gives you just some more options. And that, I like that in itself. I really like the way that this cover plate looks. It fits very naturally to the pistol. And of course, you just have a couple of screws. I'm gonna show you the installation of the G19 in a minute. Even though I have an RMR for the Model 17, I decided to wait, and we'll just demonstrate this as is, because a lot of guys are going to buy it like this and they'll just leave it like this, and then later on down the road you can add your RMR. And of course, a lot of the gun companies right now are putting out these optic ready bases. This is the new Gen 5 model. There's a lot of changes. If you're really interested and you just love to hear a lot of detail, I'll have the link annotated right here, and it's all the differences between the Gen 3, the Gen 4, and the Gen 5, and we get into a lot of detail. Robbie from Wheaton Arms helped me with that one. But there are a lot of changes made, and now there's some changes made to these pistols. Now, a lot of people are saying that Glock is just not listening, and guys, I'll tell you, that's just not true. One of the things about Glock is they have a certain system that they're going with. This is the basic design, and they are incrementally upgrading, you know, when it makes sense, and not just necessarily when, you know, people that want specialized things on here. But here I see some things that Glock has done, and they've been a lot more responsive. One of the big things that just came out with the G45 are these front cocking serrations. And that's a first. I mean, I think there's a model that they did come out with. It was kind of an obscure model. But this is really the first time for a full production line pistol that Glock's putting out these serrations. Another big thing that Glock did was to fill in this area that they opened up with the Gen 5. Here I have my Model 19 Gen 5. You can see right here there's a cut. A lot of complaints and whining going on about this cut. Now for me, I don't care. It's never even close to pinch my hand, but it's just a gap. And really, honestly, I would rather not see that gap. It was made so you could rip the magazine out. They actually extended the lip to the magazine to be able to accommodate that. But one of the big things is you have a flared mag well, which was new on the Gen 5. And Gen 5 to me, this is the best Glock out yet when it was introduced. Now with the G19X, that has become one of my favorites. One of the big advantages of not having that cutout is that it actually gives you more of a lip here. So the flare actually comes out at the front and on the sides. So it's going to give you even more of a little bit of surface area down there low on the magazine well. So, you know, there's definitely some advantages to that. And the texturing here is just very well done. It's been improved. So, you know, those are some things that have been upgraded from the standard Gen 5. And I like that. And yet you can still use your same, you know, magazines, either the Gen 5 or any previous generation magazine. Also, the sights have been changed. And you can see that they actually come to the back of the slide, and it's 3-dot. These are night sights, and so they're just very well, they're metal. A lot of people like to complain about the polymer sights. I've had them for years. Haven't had really that much trouble, but I do like the night sights. Now, one thing though that I kind of puzzled about, and maybe because different RMRs fit differently, but this does not co-witness. The sights just don't co-witness with the RMR. And you know, you could put suppressor height sights on there if you wanted to do that. To me, that's not such a big deal, because especially if you're using a good quality microdot, you can see the dot in that RMR. You know, this thing is as rugged as they come, and so I'm not really concerned about this going out. But if I was, I could put on suppressor height sights. And so, you know, there are some options there to be able to kind of do what you want to. And it's one of the funny things about these pistols is because they're so popular and there's so many different things you can do, a lot of guys are putting a lot of aftermarket parts. And Glock's actually stepping it up, because one thing that a lot of guys do are these front cocking serrations. Personally, for me, you know, I don't really care. I mean, I've been press checking for a long time, but it does allow for that. And they're the same exact configuration as the ones on the rear. So, you know, while Glock is not always, you know, instantly taking care of everybody's whims, I think that they're really starting to move in a good direction. And I'm wondering actually if they're not going to start doing that to the original Gen 5s as well, and going into that and bringing these down, because it looks like that's where they're going. This is a G19 frame, Gen 5. This is a G19 frame. It's one of the early ones. So maybe this is a 101. This is a 1.2. I don't know. Of course, with the Gen 5, it does have the ambidextrous slide release, which I like. The Gen 5 mags, I love the orange follower. These are just excellent. And then the base plate does have this lip that comes out. These do not fit in the G19X, which we talked about, because the G19X actually has a piece that comes down. But the G19X will take any of your standard earlier model gens. So just a great mag system. And again, these will take all your different mags. These do come with 3 mags each, and it does come with some other accessories that we're going to look at. One of the things though about the Gen 5 is the trigger has been updated. And I'll tell you, it's just a better trigger. It's much more crisp. They're really watching a lot of these companies that are developing incredible triggers for the striker fire, just like the VP9, the Walther PPQ, the CZ P10C. Those triggers are excellent. So they're starting to really listen to that and to work on this. But one of the things about fine-tuning and having really delicate and fine triggers and things like that is that they can affect reliability. So one of the big things that Glock wants is reliable handguns. Now, one thing that's been improved with the Gen 5 is the Marksman Barrel. This gives you even better accuracy with your Glock barrel. It's still polygonal groove, so it's, you know, you really don't want to shoot a lot of lead reloads through these barrels because it'll build up. Guys, I'm a Glock guy from the beginning. I have an original Gen 1, I have a Gen 2, and then of course all the way up. And they have always been just solid handguns all the way through. But if I take the Gen 5 and put it next to a Gen 1, there are a tremendous amount of differences. Now, one of the big things though that I do also like about the Gen 5, of course, is that they remove these finger grooves. And for me, I really like that. Also, with the Gen 4, they came in and reduced the back strap. One of the things about Glocks typically is that they feel a little bulky. Now, I've enjoyed shooting them. I love them. I carry a Glock 26 Gen 5 as my concealed carry predominantly. I do carry other pistols. But one of the things about trimming this off, it really made this more of a ergonomic pistol. If you want to add more back straps, there are 4 other options. And here you can see there's a medium, a large without the beaver tail, and then a medium and large with the beaver tail. And to take them apart, there's a tool right here on this cradle. You just push through and you can attach whichever one you want. It's really simple to do. It just snaps into these grooves and into that hole. So it gives you a lot of options. The texturing is again the same, but if you really want to get that high ride beaver tail, there you go. Now with the pistol you get these adapter plates, and of course they're sealed, different ones of course to the different type RMRs or micro red dots that you're going to put on here. This is the Modular Optic System, and that's what the MOS stands for. Now we're going to be attaching the Trijicon RMR, and this is the MR06. Then you have all the information. It's actually underneath that plate, the plates. And so make sure that you cut out around fully before you remove it, or you'll do like me and you'll rip it. So that is your instructions on the card. Just take out your screws. And we're going to take the plate off. You will notice that there is some lubricant on there, and you want to clean that off. Next, just go ahead and add your plate, and of course the nubs go on the front for the RMR. Now the existing screws that you pulled out of the adapter plate, we're going to put those aside, and we're going to use the screws provided with the kit. Just don't over tighten. Now we're going to take our RMR, place it on. Next, place on your RMR. Now you need to use the screws that come with your RMR to attach the RMR, not the screws that are included in the kit. Now we have the sight fully installed. Make sure that you retain the extra set of plate screws that hold your plate down, and also for the cover plate, those 2 screws, make sure you hold on to them. And I want to thank Fiocchi for sponsoring the ammo. We're shooting some 9mm 115 grain full metal jacket. One thing about Fiocchi is it's all made in the USA since the early 80s, and they're one of the largest supplier of ammunitions in the country. Good clean burning stuff, and just good stuff. We have quite a bit more that we have over to the side, but we're probably going to shoot about 400 rounds. And I'm not really sure what the heck I'm doing. I had my new Lula loader. These things are just awesome. So guys, we went down to the range. One of the things I was really wanting to achieve is being able to talk about the sight and acquiring your sight picture. For me, typically, when I bring it up, I'm looking for the dot and it's way above. And it's just natural, unless I began to start training with it. Really what you want to do is quit looking for the dot and just kind of line up your sights naturally. And that's where you see the dot immediately in the screen. So guys, if you go out and buy this, you need to practice. Now this is a Glock. It shoots like a Glock. The RMR on top is aluminum and it's fairly lightweight, so it doesn't really change the way the gun feels. And it just seems too like I'm so concentrated on that dot that, you know, everything else is just natural. Great texturing. The improved texturing is, you know, it's just excellent, and you feel like you've got a really good grip on the gun, the better trigger, no malfunctions whatsoever, which is typical. One of the things though that I wanted to achieve with the red dot is just to kind of make some, not rapid fire, but just to kind of fire off some rounds at a faster pace than typical, just to hit the target and to see what I could do. Once I got into the rhythm of that first target, it just became one jagged hole. And so that's really what you want to do, is just get that, you know, sweet spot, find it, because if you see that dot, you put it on there, that's where it's going to hit if you have your sights lined up. Now, of course, whatever sight you decide to use, you've got to adjust it and get it lined up with your sights. The handling of the gun, it was just exceptional. We only took the 19 out because there just really wasn't a reason to take the 17 out and, you know, do all the things we needed to do that we could demonstrate with the 19. And honestly guys, the 19 is my all-time favorite Glock size. And some of the other features of just removing those finger grooves and filling in that moon cut, and then of course with the front cocking serrations, it's really bringing this gun up to date. comparing with whatever else is out on the market. Now, as far as any cons go, I think that the sights, they don't co-witness. I don't know that that's really a problem because, you know, you have your red dot sight, and any of the good quality red dots should hold up well. But, you know, if you really want to do that, jump up to the suppressor height sights. Me, I like it. I don't mind the sights. In fact, I like them a little bit lower, especially if I'm using the cover plate. I don't want the big high sights. But if you're going to put a suppressor on it, you're going to want to do that anyway. Put the suppressor height sights. The undercut right here on the G19, a lot of people get what they call the Glock knuckle. For me, I've never really had a problem with that, but I'll still undercut so I can bring my grip up just a little bit more. And so, you know, if that were undercut just a little bit, of course it may, you know, take away from the structure of the trigger guard. So, but that's just one thing right there that some people really have a thing about. So other than that, guys, I think that the new Gen 5, the MOS, fixing this piece here, the front cocking serrations, I just think that this is pretty much the perfect Glock, if that's possible. But when the Glock 6 comes out, I'll probably like it. Of course, no review would be complete without disassembly. Drop your magazine, it's empty, check to make sure it's unloaded. First thing I'm gonna do is pull the trigger, pull back on the slide, just 1/8 of an inch, and pull down on these tabs on the side. With the armor, it makes it a little easier. We have our recoil spring and guide rod. We have our barrel, Marksman barrel, and that's pretty much field strip right there, guys. Really simple. Of course, you know, we have our ambidextrous slide release or slide stop, which makes it nice, and of course standard Glock. I mean, there are some upgrades, but pretty much what you've seen. Then we'll take, for reassembly, drop our barrel in, recoil spring and guide rod, which is dual captive. Bring the slide over the frame, and we're good to go. Now you have your standard Glock box, and then also you have your adapter plates with the MOS, and then of course you get your pistol. You get 3 17-round magazines with the Model 17. You get 3 15-round mags with the Model 19. Again, your back strap, safety lock, all the paperwork, bore brush, and a mag loader. One of the things I've said lately is Glock needs to make a Gen 2 box, something big, because, you know, it's starting to get a little bit crowded. In fact, it's getting fairly difficult to close this box. So guys, if you've really been wanting to put a RMR or a micro red dot on your handgun, these new Glock Gen 5 MOS pistols are an excellent choice. And Glock reliability, Glock perfection, you know, and you can mod them out like you want to. Now guys, this video was brought to you in part by BattleBox. And if you've been on my Sensible Prepper channel, and I've said this a number of times, BattleBox is to me the best subscription service for tactical and shooting and, you know, prepping type gear, survival gear. They have some of the best quality items of any subscription box that I've seen. They have 4 different tiers, and the top tier, which is the Pro Plus Knife of the Month Club, typically the knife is as much as the box altogether with all the items, and that is at a good price. So BattleBox, check them out. You get a 10% discount with the first subscription service using SOOCH in the coupon code. And I'll have my latest BattleBox opening right here annotated. And I want to thank Glock for sending both the 17 and the 19 MOS for this test and evaluation. Guys, I'll tell you what I really think. I'm buying the Model 19 because I've been wanting one with the MOS, and this one's not going back. 17, it may not go back either. Now I got a Glock MOS. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. These pistols have the MR, and these pistols have replacing that to where honestly this is becoming one of my very MOS, which is for modular something. One thing about the MRO, one thing about the MRR is, or MRR, MRO, MRQ, MRP.